The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. Montreal's news talk leader, CJAD 800 presents Passion with sex therapist Dr. Laurie Petito. To reach Dr. Laurie, call 514-790-0991. Star Talk, a free call on Bell Mobility. And 800-491-CJAD. Now, here's Dr. Laurie.
Welcome to Passion, a show all about love, sex, and relationships. Tonight, our regular monthly feature that we call Dating Dilemmas. And as usual, I am joined by Frank Kermit. He's a seduction and dating coach of franktalks.com. He offers lots of workshops for men and women and couples. He's the author of several books on the subject. In fact, we have 2 books to give away. Tonight, 1 book to give away to a female, 1 to a male. And the books are I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer, and The Eye of the Seductress, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. So we are giving away some prizes tonight. And so if you're single and you have questions about dating, meeting people, how to be successful, how to understand the genders, how to pick up, whatever it is, then you join us tonight. And we're going to focus on something pretty specific tonight, and that is special challenges in dating. Dating with disabilities, in fact. And Frank, let's talk about when we say disabilities, because often we think about disabilities, we think about physical disabilities, but there are many different types of disabilities.
There's all kinds of disabilities. The one that comes to mind the most are the disabilities people can see. Someone in a wheelchair, someone who needs the aid of a walker, someone who maybe is an amputee and is missing a body part. Perhaps also somebody who is morbidly obese like I am. Maybe somebody who's very, very short feels he has a disability.
Like Gary Coleman.
Like Gary Coleman. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, Gary.
Well, and in fact, I read a few articles about him and the challenges and how difficult it was for him. But in the end, he did get married, although it seemed like a very troubled relationship.
I think it's important to remember that anything that you could possibly be on the receiving end of a prejudice could count as a disability. And it's very, very important to remember that it doesn't make finding love or getting sex impossible. It just means you're going to have to work a little bit harder than the average person. And
tonight, I think you'll tell us a little bit about what needs to be done and how we can go about that. Certainly, if you have questions about this particular topic, we'd love to hear from you. We've got Roger calling us from Toronto. Hi, Roger.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, I had a question for Frank. My question is, I know there's prejudice towards somebody with a disability, but what if it's the other way around? Like, say if I like a girl who is disabled, will I have to go through any challenges that would? Because personally, I've never dated somebody with a disability, so I wouldn't know. So I was just wondering if I would have to go through a different set of challenges myself.
That's a great question, because you still have to face society, right? So if you're dating somebody in a wheelchair, or you're dating somebody who's visually impaired or what have you, you're asking what is the impact on me, or how will other people see me? What are some of those challenges, Frank?
Well, the very first challenge is that a person who is disabled, who's on the receiving end of an approach, is probably going to be very suspicious. They're going to be thinking, why me? It's very important that when you approach someone with a disability, and if you're interested in dating that person, try to find something about them that is unique and then communicate that to them. That's the reason you want to date them.
Not the fact that they have a disability.
Exactly. Not the fact that they have a disability. People don't want to feel as if there's some joke that you're going to talk about with your friends. Hey, everybody, guess what? I dated a person who was so-and-so. Nobody wants to feel like a notch in a belt.
Right.
It's very important that you treat them like human beings and really focus in on what it was about that person that attracted you.
But what about Roger? If he dates somebody with a disability, I think his concern is what are the people around him, what are some of the challenges he will face himself, not necessarily with the person with the disability. I don't know if I'm getting your question right, Roger, but I'm assuming
that's exactly what I'm asking.
He's going to have to, family, friends, all of these things, and he's talking about the prejudices that people have or the misconceptions people have. He's going to have to bear some of that.
Absolutely, Roger. If you're going to date someone with a disability, you have to expect that not everybody in your social circle is going to be supportive of it. And this is where you truly have to be above the rest of the crowd. You have to be ready to stand alone with the partner that you're dating. And as long as you're ready to sacrifice that, you'll be okay. But you do have to come to terms with that. Even those people who everybody considers, yeah, we're all really good people. They've all got their prejudices. They all have their concerns. And a lot of them are going to tell you, hey, you shouldn't be dating a person like that. I'm obese. And when I'm dating a girl, I know for a fact, all of her friends are going to tell her, you should not be dating this guy.
Why? Would they say you could do better? You can
do better. You don't have enough in common. Where's this going to go? They'll start talking about, well, there's going to be health problems down the road. And do you really want to be seen with someone like that? And I'm not going to be your friend if you go ahead and do that. One of the rules that I give people like myself is that you don't meet another person's friends until you have really established your relationship. As a person myself with a disability, I will not meet a girl's friends until her and I have actually gotten even more serious in our relationships and started being sexually intimate. Because I have the experience that says every time I've met a girl's friends and I wasn't yet at that point with her, her friends turned her against me.
Wow. So there's some challenges being faced, Roger. Thanks so much for the call. I'm going to put you on hold because we'll give out some books and we'll do a draw at the end of the show. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you.
All right. 514-790-0991. Star Talk, star 8255 on your Bell Mobility cell phone, 1-800-491-CJD. We'd love to hear from you. We're talking about dating dilemmas, and here we're focusing a little bit on disabilities and dating and some of the special challenges that people face with that. Hi, Joey. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks.
Hi. You have a question?
I do, yes. This question is regarding I see it more as like a cultural kind of drawback for me. I'm a guy that's usually dating Asian women, and, as an Asian guy, we're usually considered just more passive. And I want to know what I can do to, get more confidence to date outside my own culture.
Good question in terms of stereotypes and how people perceive you.
That's right.
The first thing that I would suggest is that you have to deal with the fact that there's going to be prejudice. And you are going to face some prejudice when you're dating outside your culture. You may not have a problem with it. And the girl that you're dating might not have a problem with it. But the people around her might give her a hard time about it. And the only way to become more confident is to simply find the girl that you want to date, ask her out, and take the chance. Now, there is a chance that she's going to say no. Well, there's a chance that when you approach women of your own culture, they're also going to say no. Those same things that you want to do to attract a woman with your own culture, you would do that with women outside your culture. Calibrating, of course, to specifics in that other person's culture, which, if she ends up dating someone outside of her culture, maybe it's going to be very dangerous for her, depending what kind of a family she's raised in.
Right.
So you have to take those things into consideration. But barring that, you would do the same things that you would normally do to attract a woman in your...
And maybe someone in a different culture is attracted to those specific qualities that you are describing. Maybe they feel safer even with the cultural stereotypes that are in their heads. Maybe that is exactly what they're looking for.
The one thing I'm going to give you, and this should be the rule that you imprint in your brain, when you're dealing with someone who's different, of a different culture, it could be dealing with prejudice, or you could be exotic to them, just as they might be exotic to you. And what a wonderful romantic rush, getting the chance to be the exotic one in a relationship.
Right. Joey, thanks so much for calling. Appreciate your call. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
514-790-0991. Dating Dilemmas. Once a month, Frank Kermit joins us on air. He's a seduction and dating coach of franktalks.com. He's the author of several books on the subject. And tonight we're focusing on disabilities and dating. We'd love to hear from you. Some of the special challenges maybe that you have faced, whatever the disability, whatever the special need that there is. And I just learned actually that there is an organization, a website it's a Jewish singles with special needs.org, JSWSN.org. I'd never heard of it, and we just found out about it tonight. They were guests on the previous show, and I thought, wow, that's really good. We need more of those.
That's the wonderful thing about new technologies in our modern time. People with disabilities have been given the chance to increase their social life, build a social circle.
Yeah.
But there's also some risks to only doing it on the internet.
And we'll talk about that, too. All that and more coming up next here on Passion.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
With Dr. Laurie Bettito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800. First date.
Dating dilemmas tonight on Passion with my guest co-host, I'm Dr. Laurie Bettito. He's Frank Kermit of franktalks.com. But that's coming soon. In a few years, you'll be Dr. Frank, right?
At some point, it's coming.
That's right. 514-790-0991. Hi, Moses. Welcome to the program.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Very interesting show.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask your guest if is shyness considered as a disability?
Oh, good question.
I would say yes. If you are extremely shy to the point where it's interfering with your ability to get what you want in all areas of your life, definitely shyness would be considered a disability in my book.
Is that something that has held you back or has been a challenge, particularly for you in dating?
Yes. For example, at work, I don't have a problem meeting people.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I'm interested in somebody, well, I will. I won't go further.
You won't approach them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. This is something you help a lot of guys with, don't you, Frank?
Absolutely. So, Moses, here are some ideas that I want you to consider. Usually, a person feels very shy because they're feeling incredible pressure, and the pressure makes them feel uncomfortable. When you approach somebody that you like, take the pressure off. There is no expectation that you have to make it work. There is no expectation that you're going to get married within 24 hours. The only expectation is you should go up, introduce yourself, and try to make a friend. Now, I always advocate that friendship is not enough when you're looking to get into relationships. But in your particular case, if you're very, very shy, take the pressure off yourself. Go there and try to make a friend, because usually shy people make excellent friends. They know what it's like to feel without. They know what it's like to feel nervous. And as a friend, a shy person knows how to make another person feel comfortable, because they know exactly what they would want someone to do for them. That's what I'm going to suggest for you. When you approach these women that you're interested in approaching, rather than put any pressure on yourself about what's going to happen when we get more intimate, what if she doesn't like me? What if she does like me too much and I don't like her? Take away all that pressure, take away all the anxiety. All you want to do is go up and make a friend. And from there, slowly you'll get to know each other. The shyness will go away because, like you said, in your work environment,
where you feel confident,
you're able to make friends, and those same social skills are going to come into play after the initial approach.
Do you think Moses would do well with your book, I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer?
I think so, because there's a number of exercises in that book. For example, why you are the prize, that might actually help him feel more confident about himself.
Moses, want a book?
Of course.
Okay, it's yours. I'm going to put you on hold, and Mike's going to take some information from you. You'll have to pick it up at the radio station, okay?
Thank you very much. Great advice.
All right, Moses. Thanks so much for calling. Have a good night. Coming up, we'll continue to talk about disabilities and dating, whatever your disability. You know, it could be anything from morbid obesity to Asperger's syndrome to any form of autism to a learning disability to a physical disability to a visual impairment. I mean, all of these pose challenges, and anybody with any of these disabilities, we all want the same thing in life. We all want to share our lives. We all want to be loved. We all want to be able to love. But there are specific challenges, and we hear about them all the time. It's funny how nobody really talks about them, and that there aren't more sites specifically for that.
Well, that's because people don't want to be reminded what's wrong with them. People just want to be promised some grand thing that they're told, this is what you should want.
Right.
And those are the sites that make money.
It's unfortunate because everybody has, we're all intrinsically good, I think, and I believe in that, and we just don't look beyond.
Exactly.
Many times.
And a lot of people get so caught up in consumerism and commercialism. If you strip away everything about a person, at the end, they all want to be loved.
Yeah, we all want the same things.
And they want to be able to love.
Right. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas. The other voice you hear is Frank Kermit. He's here. He's a dating coach and the author of several books on the subject. We'll take more of your calls coming up.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Petito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Special monthly feature, Dating Dilemmas. Frank Kermit in studio with me. We're talking about disabilities and dating, special challenges that some people face, and Frank is here to give advice. He's written about this subject. He teaches about this subject. He's lived this subject, so he really is an expert in this area. Peter joins us. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Dr. Laurie. Hi, Dr. Frank.
It's not Dr. Frank, but it's just Frank. That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
He doesn't mind being called Dr. Frank once in a while.
I just wanted to ask your guest what his experience is that he's talked to people or people's talked to him about people who are visually impaired or blind. I can speak from my own experience.
Please do. I want to hear what some of your challenges have been. What have you faced?
Well, some of the things I faced as a blind person is people are afraid to talk to you because of your blindness. They don't know how to react. Certain people I've met are hesitant. Some of my friends, in some cases, that I lost in the past, didn't know how to behave around a blind person. And for a blind person, especially in my case, I don't know about other people's cases, it's really hard to find someone with this dilemma, you know?
Mm-hmm. So this has been a real challenge for you. And if I remember correctly, you became blind later in life.
Correct.
You lost your vision later.
It was 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Peter, I've got some suggestions for you. In your particular case, it sounds like you're not being more proactive in training people how to act around you and how to be comfortable around you.
Right.
Now, this is something that I've had to do for my obesity. I have to go out of my way to be proactive to make another person feel comfortable. An example of this, I don't shake people's hands. I will normally, when I meet somebody new, I will bow. This automatically puts the other person in a very comfortable, safe feeling. They feel respected. I've learned how to do that because when I used to shake people's hands and then enter their personal space, I could sometimes be 2 or 3 times their size, and it's overwhelming for them.
It's interesting.
So I've stopped shaking hands, and when I get introduced to someone, I bow. Laurie, I don't think I've ever shook your hand. I've always bowed when we've met.
True.
You mean bow like people do in martial arts?
Like a nod, like it's more like a head nod, right? Like
It's more of a
head nod, not all the way down.
I don't go all the way down because with my size, I might not be able to get back up. But I will do a little bit of a head nod, and I make sure that they can see my hands in full view. This automatically puts them at ease. The parents of the people that I know automatically feel respected, so I've had them comment, nobody's ever bowed to me before. I'm in their memory.
Right.
I also let them know, let's say I'm going to get into the car with them. If I see that I'm not going to fit in the car, look, I'll probably not fit in the car. If we're going to go out to a restaurant or something, I'll say, I need to sit there. I will be proactive about that. As a blind person, you are an expert in how you want to be treated as a blind person. I think you should sit down and see if you can record an audio lecture on how people should react and interact with a blind person. You're the expert in this. You need to be proactive about how to educate people.
Yeah, you can teach people.
Can I ask you a question, Frank?
Absolutely.
Don't you sometimes get tired of constantly advocating and educating and sensitizing?
Yes.
I mean, we're human beings at the end of the day, and we don't want to be on like a movie screen, you know?
That's a good point.
Peter, if anybody can understand your pain, I can, and this is the bottom line. This is our burden to bear.
Right.
And we have to be proactive because it's our life. Do I get tired of it? Yes.
We'll talk a little bit more about that because we got a break for news. Peter, thanks so much for calling. We'll continue, Frank and I, talking about this, and I'm sure you'll get some more information from this. Thanks so much for calling.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. Montreal's news talk leader, CJAD 800 presents Passion with sex therapist Dr. Laurie Bettito. To reach Dr. Laurie, call 514-790-0991. Star Talk, a free call on Bell Mobility, and 800-491-CJAD. Now, here's Dr. Laurie.
Tonight on Passion, our monthly feature, Dating Dilemmas. Tonight we really do talking about dilemmas and challenges, disabilities, and dating, and the special challenges that people face with all kinds of disabilities, all kinds of special needs. And I was just telling Frank off air, I remember an episode of Private Practice. That's a spin-off of Grey's Anatomy. And one of the doctors is in a wheelchair, and one of the other doctors, the able-bodied doctor, he's cute. There's a little bit of a crush thing going on, and he just, you were talking about teaching people about your disability because you are the expert, and this is what he was doing. He looked at her and he says, I just want you to know, I'm in a wheelchair, but my penis does work. and I guess, and that was going through her mind, like, how can I do this? And then what I really appreciated about the show is they had them they showed their evolving relationship, and you saw them in bed together, and they actually talked about, she was surprised at how good it was, and I think that she had some preconceived notions about, how am I going to do this? He's in a wheelchair, blah, blah, blah.
I think people who have a disability have to understand there's a difference between someone saying, I'm not sure, how does it work? Is it okay? And someone saying, there's no way I would ever.
Right.
The person who's saying there's no way I would ever, that isn't the type of person you want to pursue for a relationship anyway.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people with disabilities make. They focus on the wrong person, hoping that they're going to change that person's mind. You need to focus on the people who are actually open and interested, and maybe they're just a little concerned and a little cautious.
So how do they find those people? Because that may be a question. How do I meet people who are more open and accepting and maybe more compassionate, I guess?
Well, you would meet those type of people the same way you would meet people who are able-bodied. You can meet them through the internet. You can meet them through friends. One of the best ways to meet someone, especially if you're a disabled person, meet them through your social circles. Start a social circle. Invite friends to it. Invite the friends of friends and the friends of friends. The fact that you have got so many people around you already will help compensate for the fact that, hey, yeah, you got a disability, but someone who's charismatic enough to have that many people around them, it's going to present that person in one of the best possible lights.
That's a very good suggestion, actually. And in this day and age, it's easy to start those social circles through the internet and what have you.
Just with Facebook alone and those type of networking sites where you can make friends of friends, you can start growing that. Now, let's talk about a person with a disability saying they don't have mobility. Maybe they're homebound.
Yeah, we've gotten calls from people like that, actually. What do they do?
Okay, they need to turn their home into both a source of income and a social hub. Don't just set up your apartment so that you can live comfortably. You design your apartment to either A, house a home business so you have some income coming in. If you're already a homebound person, you've already probably looked into that. Turn your living room into an entertainment space. Pick the smallest room in the house. Make that your bedroom and your personalized room where you put all those things you don't really want strangers touching. But your kitchen, your dining room, your living room, all of that. It's not for show. It's not for you. Turn it into an entertainment environment so you can have potlucks once a week. You have a particular interest in maybe a relationships type structure. Maybe you have a particular interest in a certain gaming activity. Well, host a potluck at your house once a week, same time, same date. Have everybody come over. Hell, it could even be an interest you don't have, but that one of your friends has, and you say, hey, you're more than welcome to use my place just to house your potluck. And you'll have enough a variety of people coming over and saying, wow, you live here? Did you decorate this place?
Right.
These are the, and you basically...
Well, it reduces the isolation. If anything, at least it brings, if you can't go to people, people can come to you. So.
Exactly. You're not the starship that's going out to explore. You're the space station that everybody comes to visit.
I like that. That's good. Very good. So you say that when you have a disability, you have to work harder than the person that does not have a disability. And how? What is the hard work involved here?
Okay, it basically comes down to my theory. It's called the margin of errors theory. This means that a person who's very good looking, very muscular, has a very fit body, they may be approached by people that want to date them. If you have a disability, it's unlikely people are going to approach you unless you have a high status and they want to be with the status, not necessarily with you.
Okay.
You can't make the same type of mistakes that someone who maybe is already very good looking and very attractive can get away with. In my philosophy, everybody has a set of emotional needs. Let's look at protection of a person's reputation, the number one emotional need of both men and women. A really good-looking person can get away with harming another person's reputation because they're so good-looking, they're forgiven for that one little faux pas, which is not so little, but it's marginalized. The person who maybe is disabled, the person who has something against them, can't make that mistake. That's the person who has to say, I protect people's reputation at all costs, the same way I would expect someone to protect my reputation at all costs. Those are the types of subtle mistakes that a person with a disability simply can't afford to make.
Okay. So how does one know that's what that person's philosophy is?
Well, the easy answer is study Frank P. Kermit material. You'll know the emotional needs.
Okay.
Really, the way you figure it out is by practicing the same repeating behaviors and looking at the results you get. Rather than just go out and try anything by the seat of your pants, go out and try a set behavior pattern. Maybe it could be a conversation about your favorite childhood memory. Maybe it's a particular joke you heard and you want to see what kind of a reaction you get. Use that same material based on your life, so it's legitimate. Use that same material on 3 or 4 people. See what kind of reaction you get. If you're turning people off and they're not coming back to you and you're not interested in dating you,
stop.
Exactly.
That's not going to work in dating, for sure not.
However, once you get yourself your first girlfriend, your second girlfriend, if you have any success whatsoever, look at the behaviors you committed during that time, because those are the same behaviors you need to repeat that are going to get you that same result.
Okay. So what are the differences? Like, what does a disabled person have to do that is actually different than a non-disabled person? I mean, obviously there's some similarities, but what are those specific challenges or different behaviors that they have to...
The number one thing that a person with disabilities cannot afford, and that's low self-esteem. You simply cannot afford to have low self-esteem when you are disabled. You're already starting with a strike against you. And I know that's not politically correct to say, because we all want to say that. No, it's all about the person you are on the inside. And yes, it is about the person you are on the inside.
Ideally.
But people have to get to know you, and they're not going to get the opportunity to get to know you if you're not willing to put yourself out there.
Right. And that takes self-esteem, is what you're saying,
and that
putting
takes
yourself out there.
Exactly. How do you develop that self-esteem? Well, let's start by writing a list as to what makes you the prize. Number 1, what's your gender? Number 2, what's your sexual orientation? Learn to embrace those things. So whether you're a man, a woman, or intersex, whether you are gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, or BDSM fetish, whatever you are and that you define yourself as, embrace that. What do your friends say about you? What are some things that would appear on your resume? What are some things that you want a potential lover to know about you? What are some achievements that you've gotten in your life? Some of the material possessions you have in your life. Write this down on a list. Go back to it. Add few things every day that come up to your mind. What are some of the great awards or nominations you might have received in your life? These are the things that you add onto that list and you go over it, and that reminds you that, hey, you do have value to give.
Right, and I think there's a big problem for a lot of people. The able-bodied or disabled or what have you is recognizing one's value. We're so hard on ourselves. Many of us are extremely hard on ourselves, way harder than we are on other people, and this comes down to not valuing who we are. When I think, if you stop to think about it, we probably, deep inside, we are aware of who we are and the value that we have. We just forget about it. Unfortunately, it doesn't come forward often enough.
Our own self-value gets buried under the doubt, under the day-to-day drama. You get into a fight with somebody and you start punishing yourself for that. As a person with a disability, you have to look at what it is you offer people. And you have to feel good about that. You have to pump yourself up. You have to commit the type of behaviors. And here's something very important. When you get rejected, you can't give up. That doesn't mean you continue to pursue and stalk the one person who rejected you. It means that you don't let that stop you from pursuing somebody new.
Right.
And this is so key. What's the difference between a person with a disability in a relationship and a person with a disability not in a relationship? The one that's in a relationship never gave up. And if you have a disability, I got news for you. You're not going to like this. Yeah, you're going to get rejected more often. I've been rejected solely on my weight. I have had women who we got to that point in the date, everything's going good, the conversation's fine, she had that look in her eye, went in for the kiss, and she says, no, I'm not attracted to you. Never mind that. I had a woman who was dating me, sleeping with me, who would regularly tell me, I don't know why I'm sleeping with you, I'm not even attracted to you.
Well, that must have made you feel good.
It made me feel terrible, but she still came over every Friday night despite that. You got to understand, you have a disability of any sort. Yeah, you're going to get rejected more. The answer to that, the solution to that, you got to keep going at it. You just got to develop
and you have a thicker skin, I think, is right, but also the self-esteem. I think, that's the one thing I notice you have is a lot of that and self-confidence and charisma that people who talk to you forget about your weight.
Exactly. When I walk into a room, no woman has ever said, "Ooh, Frank, I got to get with that."
Right. Look at that guy.
Yeah. Every woman looks at me and says, "Frank, oh yeah, get that." They don't.
Except that once they get to know you, just talk to you, it doesn't even take that long. They say, "Wow, what a great guy."
And they forget about the weight afterwards. But that initial reaction is something I get a lot. You can't let that faze you. Look, I'm the type of guy that when I'm walking down the street, I will have cars filled with girls yelling at me, shouting obscenities because of my weight.
Right.
And that never feels good. I was with a group of students one night and that happened. And they were shocked because they had never seen that happen to me or anyone. You still have to be willing to say, well, I'm not thrilled with it. I got followed home by teenagers threatening to attack me because of my weight. I had to turn around and face them and say, all right, let's do this. They left. They ran. The point is, you're always going to be judged on the way you look. You're always going to be judged by your disability. It's a given. And yeah, you get tired of having to fight for yourself and defend yourself, but that's part of life. Everybody has a disability of some sort. Everybody feels tired that they have to fight for their piece of the pie.
Right. But you got to keep fighting for that piece of the pie.
Exactly.
If you want that pie. Wow. 514-790-0991. You can text your message at 514-800. The next female who calls us, I have a book to give away, one of Frank's books for you, specifically for women. So I'd love to give that away to one female caller, the next one. 514-790-0991. We're talking about special challenges people face in dating, especially those with specific disabilities. You're listening to Passion on CJAD 800.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on Montreal's news talk leader, CJAD 800.
Tonight on Passion, it's dating dilemmas. Once a month, we invite Frank Kermit of franktalks.com. He's a dating coach, seduction and dating coach. He's the author of many, many books on the subject, offers lots of workshops, and you have some workshops that are happening pretty soon. I think people can sign up for workshops for men, for women, for couples.
Exactly. I offer coaching services, one-on-one for couples, people who are in monogamous relationships looking to restructure it as non-monogamous and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So this way they can experiment with their lives without having to threaten their primary relationship.
So what let me just get this straight. So a couple who is maybe thinking about how, going towards an open relationship or has questions about that, that's something that you help them with. Okay.
And, I'll ask them questions about, okay, well, why do you value the possibility of an open relationship? How open a relationship do you want? Because there's all kinds of rules that
people can't just go right into it. They really need to analyze this in a big way. Okay, I want to get back to disabilities and dating and the special challenges. I'm finding this extremely fascinating, especially talking to someone who's been through it, and you have first-hand experience with all of this. I love what you say, one of your Frankisms, I call them, we all call them. Even at your best, you are still only 50% of a relationship.
This is for those people who think that if they become the perfect person, that they'll be able to fix whatever relationship problems they have. And they don't need to rely on the other person to keep up their end of it. And it doesn't work that way in real life. Even at your best, you could be the best man, the best woman, the best partner, doing everything right. But if you're with the wrong person, that relationship is not going to work.
Right.
So part of your focus as being the best you can be is to learn to choose the right partner for you.
So obviously someone who has trouble with being with someone with a disability.
That's automatically the wrong person for you. Red flag, don't bother, move on to the next bus stop.
What kinds of reactions? Like, how could someone pick up early on that person would be a no-go, that they'd have an issue with it?
Okay, in my case, I'm talking with a woman and I will test her. And I might ask a question like, okay, well, who's your favorite movie star? Pretty simple enough question. Well, what was your favorite movie? And then I ask her, why? Is it because he's so cute and he's so hot and he's so this and he's so that? Or is it because, well, I really liked the performance or the story really meant something to me? If they're superficial in those responses, they're going to be superficial in other areas of their lives.
But there aren't many people. I mean, that's a question you ask a lot of people. They're going to tell you they might very well say, wow, he has great abs, or he's really hot, or...
Right.
Well, it doesn't mean they're necessarily superficial people, but it is the one thing
if that's
about
the first
attraction.
Thing,
okay.
If that's the first thing they gravitate to and you ask them...
Then you know. Okay.
Then you know. Now, that seems like an unfair question because everybody's going to say, the most attractive. It's not that first answer, it's the why.
Okay.
And if the why is, wow, just look at them and so on, they're very superficial in that way. It's okay to like an actor or an actress who's very attractive if you like something about their performance. It's not okay when that's the only reason you like them, because that's pretty much says that's the most important thing to you.
Well, and a movie star.
That too.
In fantasy.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean in reality that's, it's like if you ask somebody, what is your ideal, woman? Like if you ask guys and they might describe Barbie to you, they might describe, double D, blonde, bombshell, whatever. But in reality, that's not who they marry. In reality, that's not who they chase even.
However, if the person is enlightened, they're going to be focusing on what was your ideal husband, what's your ideal wife. If they start listing, if they're an enlightened person... Qualities, how they're treated.
Right, not looks.
Exactly.
Right. That's a good point. Neil, welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I've been married for over 30 years, and my wife has a disability. And she's the one that's been like putting me off, and she's the one that is like putting herself down. And I'm always trying to get her up and make things happen. But I think it's the part people with disability that usually have the lack of mobility to I don't know how to put it, but to stand up,
Well, I think there's a self-esteem issue here that you're describing. If she's, you're okay with it and you're loving and you're supportive, but she keeps putting herself down, you're talking about someone who lacks some of that self-esteem.
Not to me alone, but to the public, she don't want to go to parties, she don't want to have to social or anything because of her disability.
So she hides.
I don't see the disability. I just see my wife and I love her, and I've been married for over 30 years.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, Neil, I'm going to give you a suggestion here. I did this with my father when he got very sick and could barely walk and could barely do things, and he was losing his sense of self. I went out and I got him birdhouse kits. And he needed a bit of help putting the birdhouses together. But my father loved being in the country, and it was with the understanding, once you finish building all the birdhouses, we're going to go in the country and hang them up. It was his way to contribute and to do something that he felt good about. He started getting up in the morning instead of sleeping in, saying, I have to go to work to build a birdhouse. Find something that connects to something that your wife loves that she can do now. If she has a passion for going to museums, get her to start doing a little bit of painting. Try to find something that she's able to do that connects to a passion that she has.
And something that gets her out of the house and gets her involved.
whether out of the
Potentially.
house. Or, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the problem, because he doesn't want to social too much because of her disability.
So there's for her, it's an embarrassment or something that she just doesn't want to show herself.
It is an embarrassment.
The best thing to do, if she's not ready to leave the house yet, build up her self-esteem while in the house, and you work towards getting her comfortable and liking herself so that she's willing to leave the house again. Give her those small projects that she can do and slowly build it up. It's a multi-step process.
That's a good idea. Neil, thanks so much for calling. We appreciate it. Coming up, more of your calls, and we'll continue this discussion on the special challenges faced by people with disabilities who are single and looking for love. Next up on Passion.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
It ain't nothing but a party all up in here. Put on your dancing shoes and all.
Dating Dilemmas, in studio with me, Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's from franktalks.com. You can check out his website. He's the author of several books on the subject. We do have a book to give away to the next female caller, and I think we've got her. Kate, hi.
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 Kate. I have an interesting question. It's because I have a disability. It's systemic lupus, and epilepsy goes along with it. In my case, it's not visible, so it's sort of like, okay, that's fine. She looks normal. She looks average lady, but when is the time when you start telling the date that the person, maybe you've been dating a couple of times? When do you break the news?
That you have a chronic illness. And I think that's for any chronic illness too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it
chronic illness and it's not visible? You're not.
But it's debilitating at times, and they need to know that there are restrictions to things you can do, right?
There's lots of restrictions. I sleep 10 to 12 hours.
Right.
My suggestion is you tell them on the first date, but you don't make it the main focus of the conversation, and it's never the first thing you bring up. In my case, because my disability is physical, if I'm meeting someone off the internet or whatnot, I take a good look at them and I say, look, this is who I am, this is it. Once we're face-to-face, it doesn't get better than this. If you're not okay with it, we can end it now. I put them on the spot and I give them the option to leave. So far, nobody's walked away. In your case, because it's not something that's visible, you don't need to bring it up in terms of a, either like it or lump it sort of deal. But I do think you need to bring it up in the first date. I would suggest that you focus on other things in the first date and you take the attitude of, I need to find out if I even want to see this person again before you start sharing this type of very deep and important information.
So first see if you connect, if you even feel a connection. And if that's the case, then usually you could tell if you want to go out with them again, then it's something that you try to build into the conversation.
Kate, I'm going to give you this perspective from a man's point of view. If the first thing that a woman says to me is about her disability, that's how I categorize her. Let me get to know her. Let me fall in love with her. At the end of the first date, you can bring it up, and it just becomes inconsequential.
It's just part of who you are, period. Thanks so much, Kate. I'm going to put you on hold because you get a copy of Frank's book. That's it. Boy, time goes fast. Frank, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch up with you again in July.
The end of the show is always disappointing for me because I have so much fun here.
I know, great. I'm glad we have fun with you too. FrankTalks.com if you want more information. Mike Babbins and Master Control, thank you so much. Appreciate all that you do. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and don't forget, life is short, so make sure you take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.